Now, we left off last time at verse number 12, where we discussed the qualities of bodhicitta, the bodhicitta mind of awakening of aspiration, and the verse went the following. The qualities of developing such an aspiration are fully explained by Maitreya in the Array of Trunks Sutra. When we generally speak about practicing the Dharma, doing Dharma or practicing Dharma, then what it entails is transforming the mind, changing the mind. In which way? Mainly transforming our ego, our very strong ego fixation, and replacing it with cherishing others instead of ourselves. So cherishing others more than ourselves, actually. Semchik rangla semkina. Ale rangchipo. Ale pemba yang majungwa nuba yang gigure segura. And why is this important? Because if we instead would generate, let's say, a mind of awakening just for our own sake, if we would just be focused on our own well-being, then that would not only bring us no well-being, no benefit, but it would also cause a lot of harm. Why is that? What does this mean? Actually, from beginning of time until now, we have experienced so many hardships. At present, we experience a lot of difficulties. In the future, we will certainly be likely to experience again more difficulties. And in the past, that was the same. Also, there were a lot of difficulties. So what is the reason for all of these hardships and difficulties, problems that we face? The reason for all of these is this very strong ego fixation that we have, the ego grasping. And therefore, one can really say that this very selfish mindset, what we call ego fixation, that's really the cause for all kinds of suffering that we experience.
samlo busu dogo de sama me busu dogo sana ha고 sem 나라조 와데 부수 도고 되게 매가 차는 거다.
네.
얘네 부수 도고 되게 매가 차는데 가에서나 제반의 진진 그 구박 공대 구박 다 들라든 진질한테 라차반데 진질한테 구박 용당 되게 돼 용마 다 되게 돼 참아 매가 차는 거야.
Sam puto po mewa ina rang chasing ki samlo di mepa chag yore se.
다 먼저 라차반데 진질데 부수 도고 셈들다.
네. 네.
그래도 구박 탐정인 거야. 신 타입의 심진 전체 제 쿠르질라 타입의 심진은 미인도 심지 자신보 구양보 부수도보다 매바차 심 부수도보를 용해 강에 되게 참아 매바차 거야.
So what happens when we replace this mindset of this very selfish, narrow, ego-fixated mindset with prioritizing others, cherishing others, generating a mindset of awakening for the sake of all sentient beings? When we commit to this, then what happens is, because we commit to the benefit of countless sentient beings, then this also means that the mind gets really, really large, very, very vast, and a lot of power through this opening up from this really narrow state of ego fixation, because that is a very, very narrow state of mind, the ego fixation. And for this reason, because when we replace the focus towards others, the benefit of others in the first place, then the mind becomes very vast, and in turn we will encounter much less difficulties.
장주고 고방에 탑을 적으니스. 다 수치도스나 타 예배 심정이 체도 장주고 고방 돈도 다 돈도 녀와라 봐. 장주고 고방 탑을 적인스 거라 봐. 저거 신진기 잠이 임바인도 졌으면 가신 보시오지. 제부들이 장추바스로 장추베스 장추바스 다 장추세데 견아들 리샤 먹고치 견디 견서스로 제가 그 용수 장바제다 연대 용수 추배 고방지 등도 년용데 지부대 하장 침보지 상보지 야고지 비다고 시고지 등도 년을 연대 데뷔 차네 등도 년제게 데뷔 차네 하장 야고 심디 꿀롱의 차네 타예베 심진기 등 주야다 쿨라야 임바인다 다 된대기 차네 심들의 자침보 답침보 누가침보 도스카라 차인데 다좀 부수 도와야지다 심들이 뇨라랑갱 심디가데 용사매 보다고 랑가까 샤오라다 도스카라 차인 거야.
So for the sake of this really vast mindset, which is also very, very powerful, as we just have seen, for this sake, we generate the mind of awakening, we train in focusing on the benefit of all sentient beings, on bringing the benefit of all sentient beings about. And in order to do that, we commit, I will achieve full enlightenment for their sake. So this is for why I do this. It's not for my own sake, it's for the sake of all sentient beings. And because all sentient beings are in an infinite number of sentient beings, then this entails that the mind is training in being extremely open, extremely vast. And that's very positive. And also the result of full enlightenment in Tibetan Jangchup, that's something very, very positive. That the aim, the focus on that is very, very positive. You have heard a lot of explanations on what the meaning of enlightenment is. In Tibetan, we have the two syllables Jang and Chup, and Jang is really the cleansing, the removal of all faults, of everything, anything negative. And Chup means the internalizing, the embodying of all qualities. This is what is enlightenment, being fully awake. And therefore, we have a very positive, with this mindset of bodhicitta, we have a very positive aim, and we have a very positive motivation, for which is bringing about the benefit of all sentient beings. And we have seen that entails an extremely vast and extremely open and very, very powerful mindset. And for this reason, when we train in this, then there is no way for this very narrow, selfish, very problematic ego mindset to strengthen itself. So actually, with this, we are blocking the path, interrupting the path of this problematic mindset that is egoic fixation.
대야다 장주 도행 삼바데 야고 지게발라 뭐도 참바 침보다 니지 침보다 또도 파섬치 다도 참만도 로거다 근데는 장주섬 드리시게요 말해 다나 아주 지부 장주섬데 군대 명아 등견하는 지부도 계셔야 돼요 그렇죠?
So this is what the verse entails. We read the first two lines, the qualities of developing such an aspiration. And therefore, these are the qualities of that aspiration, that wishes, may I achieve full awakening, full enlightenment for the sake of an infinite number of sentient beings. I will achieve this. So there's also the commitment. And in order to make this, to bring bodhicitta into our minds and to generate it, we have to train first, as was often mentioned, in the practices of loving kindness, compassion, and the superior intention, or what is also called the altruistic mindset. Otherwise, it's not possible to generate bodhicitta. So this is all of this process is actually what's being pointed out here, connecting all of this also to the achievement itself, to the realization of full Buddhahood, which in the 7-point mind training of cause and result would be then the final fruition.
근데 인도 나라도 태바 침배 취체 했을라도 태바 침배의 취체 했을라도 다 태바 침보스라고 태바 침보스는 코르 가침보 렌 통해시 다 코르 가침보다 가는 레몬데 셈제 지게 말려 봐. 어디 동네 시와치다 텔라 대고 주야지 쿠르 짜친 못 될래마 수고 봐 쿠르 짜친 못 될래마 스타 택바스 나쿠 짜친 못와 뭐 두스카라자 랭겐 심보야나 랭겐 긴고 뭐들 상타 근데 인디 다 대바 침비치 중에다 겐쿠르 가려야랬으나 semji chikyamale bas. Tela semji na nyiri chiyame to mirik chana chiyame to chuluk chana lomba chana sansa mindu usta. Riduk semji digedi tamje chamba da zewe yures. Chamze yure. Semji dine semji chikyam dorchogu mares. Ta dorchogu mares ta. Jadan semji chikyamale ba. Eda de tamje dine dawan dewa ta. Dunga mindu ve gyunze digala chik sangta. 대다가 치도 되네 창조 그 고마한테 전도인이 쌤 개발하셨어. 도스가라 연구야. 봐.
Ridila membesem kies.
뭔가 쌤 개. 근데 어디서 기도야.
So when we speak about practicing the Mahayana path, then this Maha, is really, it literally means big or great. So why is this great? Because this vehicle is said to be the vehicle, something that can carry, that can hold. And here in this case, that can really hold a huge, in Tibet like to say load or weight or burden even, but more than that, for us it would maybe also the word responsibility was mentioned by Geshe. So what responsibility is this Mahayana practice like taking on? It is the responsibility or the commitment to achieve Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. That is an extremely huge commitment. And all sentient beings means without leaving a single one behind, committing to removing the suffering of all sentient beings and establishing them in happiness. So that means without leaving a single one aside, without forsaking a single one, that means all sentient beings are included, whether they are dear to us, whether they are neutral, whether they are enemies, whether they are from a different religion, whether they are from a different country. All sentient beings become an object of our love and our compassion. So without forsaking even a single one. So for the sake of all these sentient beings, the Mahayana practice, and here especially referring to the bodhicitta of aspiration, vows, commits to achieve full awakening for their sake. So that's why it is really a very great Maha commitment or Maha responsibility that this mind of awakening takes up. And that is also when it is how it arises.
다 대답이 전주 쌤 짓게 봐야나. 멤버 쌤 대대시 게 봐야나. 나 가래 평양 간다시 그래. 세계 시겨. 근데 가서 간다 라고도서 대달 멤버 쌤 다네 깨베 연대 가인 봐스. 자주 쌤 대대시 게 봐야나. 들라 연대 가래 용 그래. 시니 받으라고도 연대 가인 봐스.
아네요.
어디 동북고변 더 나네. 좀 된대기. 동북고변 더 세셔라. 너 되게 나와. 동북고변 또다 간데 숭도 쓰고다 동북고변 또 되게 나라 간데 숭도 쓰라게 다 먼저 들으래 대팽이도 빡도 매바레스 팽이도 빡도 매바슬라도 팽이들 챈데지 무슨 게베 팽이들 챈준요 말했어다 주심 게나 간데 여러든 알레베 멤버스 게바 다가라라 덴베 대팽이는 데라베 챈준요 말했어 나라도 더물링 사절은 챈가지고 계급수 사절을 챈가지고 가라이네 저 챈가지고 이는 전주 그 멤버스 게바 대연대바 연대한 팽이들라 대연대의 팽이지 바래 대연대한 팽이들라 챈균면도 us고다
Really.
빠도 매말했어
So what are then the qualities of generating such a powerful mindset, that of bodhicitta, of aspiration? The verse addresses this point saying the qualities, and it draws on the sutra Array of Trunks. And in the sutra, it is said that bodhicitta of aspiration has countless unfathomable qualities or benefits, we could say. And that's something actually pretty incredible. It's way beyond our imagination, because the world, although it is really, really big, we could measure it. We could give a count, a number to the quarters, the meters of width, and so on. But the benefits and the qualities cannot be measured of the mind of awakening.
Chizun chambe she days. Kande she barasana rigibu stat nosan la pasum go. Chanju sama nosan la. Chanju semnes, chanju member sim de. Ta member sim de ne sangye ge de ni chu tamje ge sangye ge yende tamje ge ro. Sangye ge yende tamje ge saben zo de de da. Saben zo de de sa.
De
Do semje chi ga mali de Chu kabo number power shenge shingdabu diridas.
Semje malupa, droa chikya malupa.
Doa chiga mali bege ta gewa power she, gewa paya gerwa.
Gewa pervarchitu.
Gewa paya ge din karbe, ta karbe gewa sila, ta gewa del karbe mimji jaga gerwa. Gewa power she shingdabu.
Ale shinga ale.
Shingadabu. What dinde da what the net had awesome
So this sutra, in the sutra, it is Maitreya who is mainly speaking to the disciple called Norzang. And here then Maitreya further says, after having said it's the qualities or benefits are limitless, countless, then he also says that, you know, this is actually the main seed for all the qualities of a Buddha. For whatever it is, for whatever quality, this is the main seed. And then he also says that this is also like so bodhicitta of aspiration is also like the field that makes the virtue of all sentient beings, whoever it is, without with no exception, increase. So this is also the field that increases the virtue of any sentient beings, and it is also the seed for any enlightened quality.
Debu teba chimbege lam debu ta cheba tamje jungwe terna shire somre.
Lam tang debu jungwe ter. And then he also says it's the treasure that generates both the path and the result of enlightenment.
Ta dona da dina pe digna chida jana pe kyalha som shagdwa.
Pe gyalapa?
Pe mindao 100 times.
Ale pe gyal ale.
Pe kyalha som shane, ro?
Ale di dona lola.
On do digna la.
Ale ha ko.
Le jtone ta chanju member sing phen de sum yisare. Ta digna ale pe ni ma ta tang ya ma le, ro? Hey. Ta nye da sum la yin ba.
Ale.
Shima da digna la kona la ni ma ta tang me do.
Ale.
Sabe da shinga yin ma ta chang me do. Per se de yara da nam je ne pe de 때려 시작을 봐.
Mhm.
다도 다 가려서라도 딘디기 멤버 셈데 다 가는 정주 멤버 셈데라 때네 태바 친구 람 드부 탐제 데라 때네 용구 인도서 그 용수 장투에 저다 연대 용수 표를 시에게 다 시다도 싸면다고디 그냥 정주 셈데 차고도 왔어.
Mhm.
그 용수 중과 연대 용수 다 줘버 시에게 와.
So here in the commentary, there are only two of these examples that we just have seen mentioned, the one of the seed and the one of the field. However, in the sutra itself, there are about 100 examples for to elucidate the benefits of bodhicitta of aspiration. So in short, because bodhicitta of aspiration is the main agent in paving the path and achieving the result of the Mahayana path, it also entails that this is the main agent responsible in removing all of our negativities and faults, and of accomplishing and perfecting all qualities.
전주 멤버 쌤때 나줄 고구야 봐. 나줄 고기에 봐 인데다 땅 하나 정도는 상관에 된 쇼가를 이제 통말 야라 약셔도 주네. 근데 상기 좀 된데기 고송 두고 연대도 좀 마태. 켄즈 뉴스고 연대도 좀 마태 그 탑시체. 야, 다 소소문에 다 뒤드링이 님모데 문에 나상게 좀 된데게 진주 임바인데 문에 코나냐 진주 넘버다고 저 지기니 상바치 다 상게 좀 된데게 진주 제 세대다 제속간이 죽으래서나 상게 좀 된데게 툭 상보 다 정주고 쌤 공부 탈신 바래 실업 양다고 탈신 바래 근데 인도도 딱 안한 경우는 가스 투보다 나상기 좀 된데게 진주 임바인데 저 드링이 님어들 따라 차셔와요. 상기 좀 된데게 공부도 투마냐 심 상고 세대. 그 님어 키워다 스페데 쇼가 니 세네. 그 드리고나 마마니 보라 심 상고 세대. 땅 상기 좀 된데게 진주 진도 전에 심 상고세 제상. 대념이 제 소라지. 다드네 와다치로도 남을 집에 싫어 세죠. 좀 된데기 이 이식이 저 탈심바 인데서 알아서 소소 문에양 이미 치료도 남지 권에 권도 패야겠다 냠니 치 상바지
간들도
너는 알아서 치료 퇴바다 상바다 공부하시기 여러봐
알레
가인다 pancha punzu kande chi yimba yina tende sheye nezu nyamso 아이가 란자기 nezu diga de be 같이 툭툭이 봐 sheye 탑시잖아 하고서 너나
랑도르니
랑도 그네 de sheye 탑시잖아 다 저 럽도 넘버 제바서 럽도 넘버 제바서 랑도 넘버 제비 싫었으라고 여러봐 tende 그 돈에 단도 쓰는다 다 상기 존대되게 진주 저발라 초아치네 군우 상부 제들으셨다 미 상부 제들으셨어 초아치네 랑도가 내 셰버 체네 다 레규르다 투바 셰르셨어 어두스가라 상다지 근데 나라서 상 대땅고다
네. And this, therefore, this mindset of bodhicitta is really what we need. It's really important for us to cultivate and to train in developing this mindset. So this means that we should every day dedicate some time towards this training. For instance, we could wake up in the morning and start to recall the infinite qualities of Buddha's body, speech, and mind, the qualities of his power, love, and wisdom, and then really afterwards commit to making this day, a meaningful contribution to our path of practice. Because as followers of the Buddha, I also try to follow the Buddha. So to follow into his footsteps and to train at the best of my abilities. For example, I could commit in the morning to this day from now until I go to bed tonight to really practice having a kind heart, being friendly, having a positive or kind mindset, and practice with that. And then also train in acquiring proper discernment, as we know that the Dharma talks about proper discernment or proper wisdom, that, for example, we achieve or we train in through the practices of learning, of reflecting, and meditating. Because as followers of the Buddha, it means that we follow what he taught. And the Buddha, what he perfected through his own practice, were especially these two aspects, one of his infinite bodhicitta mind. So he really perfected bodhicitta, and he also perfected authentic, proper wisdom. So we should also train in that. So again, to sum up these 2 points, which we can practice daily from morning till evening, or commit to that at least, create the intention to practice that. The first one is having a kind heart, being a kind, good human being. And the second one is to train in acquiring proper knowledge, to sharpen our discerning mind. That means trying to become really clear on what are the things that we should cultivate in our lives, in our mind, and what should we give up or abandon. So in other words, how can we really live in tune with the law of karma, of cause and effect? So this is really what we should consider every day.
심정이 나와 줘봐다 동네세 쳐도 남기 개고 고바 서 남기 개고 고바 서나 야나 청죽스러 청죽스데 와다 된대지 딱 가서 그러다 말아서 탑으로 줄지 서와 짱마야 봐 탑으로 쇼 서와 짱마야 봐 탑으로 적인 삼데 셈시게 고야 쇼쳐로 당해라 봐 탑으로 적인 인스 chanju goban tabra chagin sambachi su chedos 타이에 semjeng chedo semjeng dewa droba da dungen se chedo 된데기 nindo ke tabshi che 고야 resro.
Of course, there are all kinds of ways how we can train in being a good human being, a kind human being. For example, it could be the practice of patience, it could be practicing generosity, and so on. But the very highest, the best kind-hearted mindset is the practice of bodhicitta. So as followers of the Buddha, we should really try to cultivate bodhicitta as much as we can. And that also entails to not only wish for enlightenment, saying, may I, oh, it would be wonderful if, may it be so. No, to even go one step further, saying, I will make sure that I actually obtain Buddhahood. I will really commit to this. I will make sure that that happens. For what sake? Not for my own, but for the sake of all sentient beings, for the sake of the infinite number of sentient beings, so that they may be free from suffering and happy.
Dine tanda chanjo membe sem ki shigi are. Chanjo mesem de shigi are. A mesem de di mesem de la pen shibuji yobe ki shigi are. Yine pen de dan dem mesem de ta 대단 찬다고 소소하게 탑시 치고 여러분. 얘는 팽에도 차사 마도에나 뒤초로 투바지는 아주 팽이 용거를 받아. 세상 아주 냠술랑 세지다. 최제세디 군조 당야지. 소소가 랑체 먼저 진정 삼바도 교시 당야 탑시디 도스가 치고 여러분.
네. 차드라와세나 간데 가르라 고고리
아서 대단 다 미역이 차네 우는 거 차네 참아 대단 잡원 잡시다 요야지 당아도 전주스만 나신지 연구 말해 돼
네 차드라와 네 so 다치 템퍼지 샷 한마디
그러면 이제 안잘라면 되도
직접 담은 디 템퍼지 샷 관다
알아 나 직접 담은데 가르치는 얘기 치샤 가서 다 두드러면 되게 그냥 되게 다 된다게 먼저 단다 전주 가서 쌤 누가 땅스라고 여러분
알레 쌤 유로 땅 디스 송송
쌤 교회 땅에 쌤 교회 땅에 가린 교회 땅에는 라치즈디 교회 땅 고야
네네
나라도 최제세 제하고 다나래
네
다랑 진진 교회 땅 고인다 랑 진진 교회 땅에 들었다 전주스만 시장 안저 요야 말 용토야 말했어
네
얘네 멤버 전주 쌤 대다 참다와 참아서 요야 탑시죠 그랬어
네네네
저마도 말씀드려 펜쇼지 요래 펜쇼지 야서 랍자 대장은 안저 펜토고 말했어
네
응
네네 so it is, you know, we are hearing all these beautiful things. Bodhicitta of aspiration has so many qualities, this and that, and we might also talk about it, but it's really not enough to just talk about it or, just fantasize about it. It's really important that we bring this into ourselves. So, as we have heard, practicing the Dharma means transforming the mind, and especially here, transforming the mind means transforming our ego fixation. And therefore, it is really important that we try to apply this somehow to become familiar and train in this. Of course, we cannot now do it from today till tomorrow, like a bodhisattva having such a firm bodhicitta mindset like bodhisattvas, but we still have to train in kind of imitating them. So we still try. And that's really important.
계시 샤라와 지 숨도로 계시 샤라와 간에 숨이라스나 되네 까담베 기베 신신 뭐 샤라와 다 공게 간에스나 다 된데게 메바 생게게 연대디 추 뒤샤와이나 추 뒤샤라마이나 다 시그널 되는 거레스
Chic.
시시
Chic.
시나도 그래스 다 시나 간에도 사베도 볼 때씩 샤워레스 사베디 뎁세게 싱가도 볼 때씩 샤워레스 얘네 셴데기 연된다 오래 달래 알레 당고 사베기 싱가도 볼 도스가 상당 그래스
무슨디
니바 줘서 다 숨바들라 가인스나 얘네 싱가들라 바르체 징에기는 바체 탕제 싸워치에게 와다 드리지 배치기잖아. 배드리지 찍타나 찍 두서라 차. 나 신발들 로레 퓨소 로도 퓨소 소바 참만 중구야 봐.
네.
와 된대게 드니 로도 되게 참마다 림보치는 신시 림보치 릭나 신시 또 레야이 왔다 버지 레 전주선도 파이어도 답답 시부 무지 따침 송자다 레 탑시 상당고 여러 봐 어딘지 송 다 송다네
Reluto kuntum soba di kikie begiudo.
아 그랬어
So the great Kadampa master Geshe Sharawa said that he summarized basically the benefits of bodhicitta into 4 examples, 4 points. So these are the seed, the field, and then also that the remover of that which could obstruct the field. So we would probably say pesticide. Doesn't sound so nice, but in this case, but that's also one example. So that which removes any obstacles on the field for the harvest to ripen, and then also that that causes the direct ripening of this full harvest, just like a jewel array of harvest. So that's what the examples are that he brings up as a summary for explaining the benefits of and the qualities of bodhicitta of aspiration.
아들스레 나 신가야고 되게 강 사변야고 싶다 사변도 맞답사는 신가데 깨와라 되는 바체 시간다 깨네데 바체 시간데 그 탐제 바세 다들 세는데 단 제불로도 무슨 소버지 요나 타쳐로 봐 제불로도 무슨 소버지 중요한데 로도 무슨 소버 시부들 시고지 자신부 치고요다 어디네 배잖아 숨도 숨다들 봐 영마들에
네. So it's like bodhicitta of aspiration is like the seed which is planted into the ground, and then it also makes sure that this seed can grow without obstructors. And then also once the seed has fully grown into, all the seeds in the field have grown to a full harvest, then that's also due to this bodhicitta of aspiration. And then at the end, one ends up having this enormous, huge field of very powerful and precious harvest. 네.
제부터 다시 못 데려다. 라션이게 되던 용조 조투고는 전육선 라데나 조투고에 봐. 인데서 다 자체단데 데려서.
So why was it said that this harvest is extremely powerful and precious? Because this represents the benefit that occurs not only for others out of practicing bodhicitta of aspiration, but also for oneself. So it is said that this really brings about or has the power to fulfill any wish, whether it's for our own sake or for those of other sentient beings. So this really has the ability to fulfill all wishes. So that's why it is such a precious field of harvest.
안주 상계기 구송 투기인데 하도도 되게 나와네 다 켄진 뉴스게 연내게 망고 고치 시행도 이면 봐 시부지다 근데 중나 삼계겠다 시부지 저 무슨 소바 시부시기 봐체 전주 선바 남게 다 제부대 대 탑에 됐던다라 깔에 되게 견제 깔에 견내로 제부들 요아 시도 깔에 견내로 봐 이게 제부 할레베 구순토기 연대다 켄즈 뉴스게 연대도서 상당적 제부 할레바 되게 죽하나 되는 이유야 그 장족선 맞다는 이유야 제부도 누군도나 규들라다 안쪽에 규도 용해 탑시적으로 맞다 규도면 나는 제부도 용하면 알아봐
그래
모두 상당고
we hear a lot about the qualities of Buddha's enlightened body, speech, and mind. We hear a lot about his incredible qualities of power, love and wisdom, and we aspire to make these also manifest. We aspire to achieve them. And therefore, this amazing result of enlightenment is often shared and talked about and aspired at. And the bodhisattvas, they also aspire this, of course, and they really commit firmly to achieving this for themselves as well. So that's how they really put a lot of effort into the path and so on. And therefore, this amazing result, yes, of Buddhahood and all these amazing qualities, what is the source for them? It is bodhicitta, the mind of awakening. So if we wish for such a result, then we also have to make sure that we cultivate the causes for that result. Otherwise, how do you want to achieve a fruit without planting the seed for this fruit? It's not possible. So we really have to make sure that we do that.
Lama le nyende zogue chanju semge yonde tameba number shebra chala tene kunzendu tedar yana yando semne kebar cha sede wondre.
So we are at verse number 13 now, that speaks about training in bodhicitta. Having learned about the infinite benefits of the intention to gain full enlightenment by reading the sutra or listening to a teacher, arouse it repeatedly to make it steadfast.
다 간데시긴 됐어. 다 무슨 초게라 초게가네로. 초게토네더니 셈게라에 탑시쳐 버렸어. 다 되더베 저베 장주라 미베드네 무슨 게 연대 탐해봐. 그 셀레게 왔다 배. 된대지 여보 쌍 미켜봤대. 되네 셔버쳐 버려. 시나 다 된대지 여보 시나 된 시네다 대 던도게 용으로 봤어.
So how we have to train repeatedly in this mindset of bodhicitta, in generating it, and how do we do that? Through ritual. So first, it really all starts with learning about the bodhicitta of aspiration that aims at achieving full enlightenment. Because by learning about this incredible aspect that has infinite qualities, then we will generate the wish to actually achieve it or to actually practice it so that we can achieve those qualities. Jangjuki semde?
Chanjuk Tondo Nersla. Chanjuk Tondo Nersa de la Alatambo Chanjuk said as a quachi chai. Did you take Kandaji Chanjuk sa Kandaji Yunguyana, the Kandaji ina, said Java. Telling us a quachai Tashi Chekuya.
Ale di ngon la.
Chanjuk sem de Kawala.
Aleo.
And Chanjuk sem de Kawala. Chanjuk said Alatambo Kandaji.
Yes. And in order to generate this mindset of bodhicitta of aspiration, we need to be very clear also on what enlightenment is. What is enlightenment? How does it come about? we really have to try first in getting very clear on understanding this. This is also necessary for us to really generate the intent to wanting to achieve this and then making the effort to achieve it.
다 근데 인데 다 근데 좀 못해 버쳐봐라. 난주 셈기 껴세죠. 셈기 껴. 다 셈기 껴 망고 싶어지 이거 나와는 다 좋은다 저상다 많이나. 라치만 집에 진진세 찍다. 머리 봐서 니 상다 많이나. 근데 이게다 당지 머리 봤을 때다 라치만 집에 진진 그 셈세 니부대. 다 가라에서는 나란스 셈기 랑신라 슈메바치. 셈기 랑신기 랑신레 제로도 여바치. 하고서 콘주 랑친지다 머리 봤을 때 나도 둘러올라 차파차바다 신봐. 원 난칼라 부르신 게 원남 신시.
네.
我去那了，尿他去的尿不下我那信息。
对。
我等这些俺这心来给的都是个心，可能个心个人性了，修明度的，那就都是这个直的个都是。直这个直把这个的心着的，但强就不是来我。强是刚才我给这个的强过呀的，但等这强是了的。 강기 전기, 간지 전기 메시지. 야 신의 저어들 얘기요. 알레 너무 좋아.
In order to understand fully what enlightenment is, we need to be clear on what actually not being enlightened looks like. What are therefore the stains or the faults of the mind that make us not enlightened? So these are mainly two. So the first one is a very strong ego fixation, or we could say a selfishness. And the second one is the ignorance of ego clinging. And these two main sources for all stains and veils of the mind, they are not inherent to mind's nature. They are not like, they are like inherently present within it, but they are veiling it. Like, for example, when you have dirt on your clothes, or when there is pollution in the air, or maybe dirt in a pond, in the water in the pond, making it unclear and unclean and so on. So these stains or veils are what make us not awake. And when these are removed, then we are awake, we are Buddhas, we are enlightened. So therefore, what it is really the important thing here is to remove those stains, those faults. And then of course, the big question arises, okay, how do I do that?
생겨라시 탈도나 동반인가 내여봐 인도 난저 디셔고 된 간데스 내여봐 생기네 내주 터도도 셔고야 생기 내주 터도도 셔발라 때네 생기 께 되게디 생기 정신도 다고요다
Kan det digital 인수세 간데 디 낭로라 간데
다베라 샤시나 한테 되나 아 칸바데 너군셔다 나군셔다나 딱 칸바 나군을 쳐다서 뭐지 봐봐요 뭐 봐봐요 그 잡히는다 아 다지 나군데 가와친스 치러 봐친 말이야
다디 옐람노 디그레베
아 예
Sen ing su yelwa lab na digre.
Oh, the yin su yawa si tagana lana digre. Yawa re ma to chilo duguya mare. Dulo ina churu jabri takwa de chilo duguya ra. Chudu zamo su re takwa de chua chilo duguya. Dire memba che.
Ale.
Danda de pede de chego zamo sodan pede chegi ya de ina churu yin su da sila de na chilo le yawa mare. Zaga rosa yawa ta.
Sega drunan yig mares.
야, 그래서 캄보디아나 로, 나 원시 차제, 나 원시 로데 빠인데, 던지 뭐 너무도 거친 수. 진짜 요 말을 받아. 그 다른 명 샤소.
네.
我dinner 신시我那现在学个因素大是因素大是那这是的。
Yinde di kandes ta yongres na semki nelu hakogores.
哦，这个内陆写完了，对呢，大伙儿是，内陆偷偷写完了，对呢，大伙儿是。
이제 너나 돈이 더 버렸다.
너는 동의돼. 내로偷是 동의돼.
These stains or faults, they are purified into the expanse of the mind itself. So in other words, they dissolve when we have the right means. They dissolve back into mind's nature, sort of thing. It's not like with the example of the dirt, that we wash the clothes and then we see the dirt going away, leaving the clothes. But it is like when you have a house which inside is completely dark, you just need to switch on the light and in an instant the darkness is gone. In the same way, when we realize the nature of the mind, all these stains, they disappear on the spot. They have not left the house, they have not gone into the house, just with the darkness. And so therefore, how do we come to remove those stains, those veils? By realizing the nature of the mind. And what is the nature of the mind? The ultimate state is, it is said that the ultimate nature of the mind abides within a state of emptiness. So in order to remove those stains, we need to recognize mind's nature. In other words, emptiness.
That's all.
That's all.
原来我这个北京的讲呢，可这一种，他这个，他没写的旁边呢，他也会通过的，对。你其他也会通的。对，俺什么的，体皮是来了，体皮这个就。他没写的都是跟他三个学通的，是的呗。如果等于马桶的考清吧，是的。我这个呢，大清吧，这就是吧，大清吧，这个早些了拿了，这来送过来，给到这边呢，东把泥土干巴的就是，东把泥金干巴的就是些。但俺知道，老了看那我吃的茶，老跟在他们家干什么？东把泥土干着的是，东泥土洗了个当家，旁干完、晒完，那个吃着的，腌着的是，大。
Another example maybe that could be helpful is if Geshe were to take his glasses off as he did, then in a moment everything would become blurry. He wouldn't see us anymore very well. And in the moment he puts the glasses back on, he sees everything perfectly. So where did the non-seeing go? Did it leave? Did it go anywhere? And in the same way, that's what happens. And in the Mula Madhyamaka Karikas by Nagarjuna, he says that these confused states of mind come to cease through emptiness, or in other words, through the wisdom that realizes emptiness, they just disappear. They just dissolve. Right. And therefore, the same is to be understood with the word enlightenment, Jang Chup. So Jang, as we have seen, means removal or cleansing. So when we do remove all of these stains, then anything that's left are these qualities. And this is what Chup, internalizing or embodying, refers to. In this case, better embodying, because internalizing would entail a process maybe of achieving something, but here we hear that the stains are removed, so these qualities are inherently there. Ale tadi semginelu to yung du jangjuk kurang hako gonggiris. Therefore, the key point is to remove all of these stains. And in whose mind stream are we supposed to remove them? In the one of the Buddha? No, of course not. The Buddha has already done this. He's already clean from stains. So it is, and he is not doing it for us. So we have to take care of removing the stains in our own mind stream. And in order to do that, we need to realize the nature of the mind. In other words, the nature of the mind being emptiness. And at this point, when that happens, then also we will know enlightenment.
Yes,
Kare nungoniku ale.
onigu스 데라 랍추고래. 그냥 탐제 제와들라. 봐.
네.
제가 데라 추구스라고. 상기게 추구스라고. 제가 데 던도냐와 먼저 덴데지 던도냐 녀네. 데 던도냐 와서 덴데지 건드네. 다 덴데지 타버더네. 그 탐제 그 데다 탐제 싸운데 봐. 다그 데다 탐제 싸운데야게 싸우는 더 봤을라. 이제 다 청주도 던도냐 왔을라고 봐.
네.
다 전주 미 전주도 돈만이와라 다 가르치기 임베스는 다 심진기 전주에 지인이 있으라고요 봐.
네, 세송아.
어더래. 제가 군노 샘쟁기 대화 줘봐다 동해세게 쳐도 전주디 전주고 고만 되는지 돈도 내려 와. 빨리 뒤질라다 뒤바라데 질라야 해.
Mhm. So this is what we strive after, what we work for, to achieve this, to achieve the state where all of these mind stains have been removed. That is then the state that is called the Dharmakaya, or also Swabhavika-kaya, the essence body or the truth body. And all of this, keeping in mind for what sake we do it. We do it for the sake, therefore, of all sentient beings. So on the outset, it is for the sake of all sentient beings. And also once we have realized it, it's also for the sake of all sentient beings to remove their suffering and to establish them in happiness.
다 간데 차버렸어. 샘기 께 용소 장바이나 장토바이나 다 샘들레 딥지 가야 매댕에 차버려. 제가 탐제 캔 스차인 거야. 사브차소아.
네네.
탐제 캔 봤어. 나봐 탐제 캔 봤어. 라베디 드레제 샘들레 께지 매바 인데 께 용소 세와 인데 다 딥지 지에매. 딥지 지에매나 다 로치부 다가랑가 때만이가 지자도 캔인 거야.
렘바니까
와 때만이가 로치부 디 니가도 캔인 거야.
켄 안에 켄 용기래.
또 봐라.
네.
제가 다 가르쳐래. 다 시제 쳐 멀리 봐캔 봐 인데서 심쟁기 다 메바다 원베 징바다 심제 데라 칸다 페라치나 심쟁기 대원 저거 탑시 가르가르 고고 여봐 되게 탐제 캔인 거야.
네네.
디 심쟁기 더 베메드 두톱스 되다.
네네.
어디래?
So when we so when all stains of the mind are removed, purified, then there is nothing anymore that obstructs the mind from seeing its true nature, we could say. So what does it mean? It means that at this point, one becomes an omniscient being, a being that has realized both truths, the relative and the absolute truth. And this also therefore leads to the fact that, of course, such an individual has a wisdom over all phenomena, and therefore also over sentient beings, knowing what they need, what are their dispositions, what are their interests, what are their tendencies, and therefore that also leads to the complete understanding of how one can lead them to joy, towards happiness and well-being. And this is why it is then said that for an enlightened individual, the benefit of others is an effortless activity because of all of this knowledge.
This one.
So,
인디지게 딱 용수 세 연대 용수 덴베 상기 고바 덴디지 돈도 얘기한 심데 다 할래바 차라 할래바 차라 다 덴디지 돈도 얘기다 한 할래바 차라 표 용다 용 할래베 심데 뷰다고 쳐도 와
닌데 tö니 핑키 칸살라.
꿀롱 차네 심진 지가 말레베 더바 용조 주투야치 상당기도 더바 용조 주투야 그 된다라 청주 껴 용서 장배 되는 지부 청주사의 돈도 얘기도 다 된대지 중앙이나 심적인 더더 용조 주투야 봐. 제가 된대게 돈도 얘기한 게 청주 셈세데 상게 미켜버지 당원에 상게 미켜버렸을 때라고 했다.
So it is, anybody who aims at this and who strives after this and puts effort into this achievement, and therefore in the achievement of removing or extinguishing all the stains and achieving all the qualities, that's really something incredible. That's really remarkable. And of course, this remarkable undertaking and aim and so forth will bring enormous benefits, because the motivation is extraordinary. The motivation to accomplish the wishes of all sentient beings without exception. And in order to make that happen, to remove all the stains. That's really something incredible. And that will definitely bring about this result at some point. And therefore, anybody who lives in this manner and strives in this manner is really beyond expression. It's really remarkable.
파워토메게 전주선배 사 장사스 저러 장세 워 땡저도 키랑가 로네 키랑가 시에바 쳐고요 니즈든데 야나 라마라 때네 녜네 키랑가 시에 탑시 쳐고레스 다 니즈드게 다서 말에 개 친구 시오지 뭐나 키랑문에 저타 쳐봐 시에바 쳐고레스 어디지라다
These facts are really necessary to know. They are very, very important, and therefore this is what the verse says, having learned about the infinite benefits. So we really have to make sure that we get the most clear understanding about this, about all of these points. And therefore the text says you could train in that understanding by hearing from lamas, from spiritual teachers, or you could read texts, that could be sutras, commentaries, and so on, and really, really strive to attaining the most thorough understanding and knowledge that's possible. And we need to make sure that this mindset is being born within us, that once it is born, that it gets firmly established, and once it is firmly established, that it increases further and further, always like when we recite the bodhicitta prayers at the end, that may it arise where it has not yet arisen, may it abide, and may it always forever increase wherever it has already arisen. We should try to generate this precious mindset of bodhicitta 3 or 6 times a day, with this traditional division of 6 practice sessions in a day, or we could also say 3. The bodhisattvas, they indeed do never forget the mindset of bodhicitta, and this also means that whenever they practice, whatever they practice, whether it's the practice of compassion, loving kindness, patience, whatever it is, there is always a part rooted of the practice rooted in bodhicitta.
연대되게 연대 탐해봐 주여라. 연대 탐해봐. 어디에 넘버 10을 챘네. 다디 아니len 송다 찬론 송서 튼 주도치야 튼 숨치야 야나 rabla chuna namnya miji ba chena ta kerang ga semge nalwa ta janju semsi ta chishu chi yin ba yin tu ta ti pe chua chi la ye dos ka sa ta ba yin na tin so so ge da mezi de töndan de ba chung re sangi jong den de jinju yin se na shin ji ta jinju mo ne jinju cha ba re wo ta ba chen bo ge che che gen yin se ge 칸에 라바나시 ge ta ba chen bo ge che che gen cha wa da
And the text says in the last line exactly this: arouse it repeatedly to make it steadfast. So as often as you can, renew your intention of bodhicitta. So it could be 3 times a day, or it could be 6 times a day, or in the best case, that you never forget about it. And then that will really make sure that your life will be very, very valuable and a very meaningful life. And you will definitely be an authentic follower of the Buddha. And you will also be a Mahayana practitioner.
근데 그 셈게야 그 초가다 된 데마 시라 제투면은 먼저 남제 상계 초당 속에 초나 장조 봐도 다니 잡수지 다게 진소지고 초나 돌아베지 상계 도브쇼 지 된데게 토네 산 따네 나 장조 셈디 계도 제고야 마저가 제고야 폐야 그 탑시 제고야 그래서
초가 제마 둡나 초가 가르쳐서
야 무슨 초게 렘바스 초가 지어래
내가 좀 초가 제시 yap차로
뭐 초가다 미색 니단 제샤가 잡무서도 이내다 무슨 겨울 잡아라 딩원은 어제 잡사 다 가서 딩원을 초게 노단
알레르 직차서 바탕 yana dumbatang.
뭐도 참아래
So if we cannot generate bodhicitta with the ritual, we have already talked about it to some extent in the past, where there was the mention of the various branches, the 7 branches of.
또 점도 잡아다 태바치도 점도 잡아다 샤바치 잡아다 근데 제소 이랑 잡아다 대대 돈다 전주 셈게 초가지 도서는 아주 딩원을
So we already went we went through the ritual that embeds the taking of the bodhicitta aspiration, which were the 7 branches of practice. If you remember, there was prostration, making offerings, and confessing, and rejoicing, and so on and so on. So you can do it with that, and if you cannot do it with the ritual, or time is short and so on, then you should at least combine the practice of bodhicitta, of generating this mindset, with the words from the refuge prayer, and generate bodhicitta like that, and increase the practice of bodhicitta like that.
아야 다도 있어. 내가 또 나를. 다 너네 되다. 벨진 기슈 도달에 네 선함 raptem 전주 선함 되는 게 알아. 간지 티저
Sunam ale.
선함. 간지 티저 숨담도 돌드베는 디지 자 손다 티저 숨나네. 돌드 디나 티기 인송다. 다 디지 참마다 셔석마다 달래 들어 디지 셔바나. 전주 생게 선함감 내가 개디 숙치나 남게 캄니 그 간데 데네 데와 하버린 교루스 직접 관계 치마 장니기 상계 신남 니 관계 전전 다기 그 간데 지빈 거라 표와 와스 관계 태모 잘게디 전주도네 럽 심뜨네 초반되네 캐브라파 내가 타니 마치소 소다데 다 선함데 빼자네 숨고였다.
And the next, I think 4 verses or so are pointing out the amount of merit that is gained by practicing bodhicitta, also by examples. So we will not probably finish to go through them today with the explanations, but let's read them for now. So verse number 14, the sutra requested by Viradatta fully explains the merit therein. At this point, in summary, I will cite just 3 verses. If it possessed physical form, the merit of the altruistic intention would completely fill the whole of space and exceed even that. If someone were to fill with jewels as many Buddha fields as there are grains of sand in the Ganges, to offer to the protector of the world, this would be surpassed by the gift of folding one's hands and inclining one's mind to enlightenment, for such is limitless.
다 김다 베징 있으나다 장주 선바 베징 세진바다 근데지야 좀 된데라 야 쉬베 도지요래 단도 디기나마 좀 된데기는 지제도마 다 송제요래 다 디네나 가인스다 다 지제 송자 송도 디나라는 지제 송도네 다마 송도아
네.
다 지제 송데 다 된다라데만 도 뒤네 도 뒤네 송바 되는 가사다 장주 선거 소나한테 상에 미쳐버지 다 예버지 요데 디나 두두유지나 마치기 인수없다. 그렇아? 가에서 전주생의 소남과 게티다 수준 어디로 알리다 못 되나죠. 두두반을 저거 자.
About the incredible vast benefit and merit that is generated through bodhicitta, the Bodhisattva Viradatta, who was a lay practitioner, asked the Buddha. And in the sutra requested by Viradatta, then the Buddha explains the merit and the benefits that arise from that. And here in the text, we have 3 verses drawn from the sutra, or the examples from the sutra. So these are just to briefly, as the verse 14 says, in summary, I will just cite 3 verses to point out the inconceivable benefit and merit that arises.
근데 인바인도 게스디 장주섬게 장주섬 공배 소남기다 소남지요라 봐 소남디 게스 나나도 수그라지 밥주여져요 봐이나 수수바 유여를 지요 봐이나 다 근데 저는 다 남게함들 흉 추르게 말해서 남게함 아마 간 추여 주는 요 말해서 봐
네.
대례장다 남게함 참아 간 봐야 대례 하거든도
네. Was ist alles? Sorry, I was going to speak in German. What is the benefit of the practice of bodhicitta, of cultivating bodhicitta? First of all, it is extremely vast. So here we see some examples for it. The first verse with the example is verse number 15, that says that if we would give merit a form, then it would not be able to fit in all of space. In other words, the benefit that arises from cultivating bodhicitta is even larger than all of space. It exceeds even all of space.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. 다 주고되게 갸체라는 다 주예요 말했어. 진짜 당고대 갸체라는 다 주예요. 다 지정예보다 다 장가를 체중 소해요 말해서 이게 시도 체중 소해요 말해서 다 간다에서는 주문이도 체 소하면 다 맞지 버리 전주성의 수남데 타네다 타도 배 장가들이 저로 체 송도 형 말인데 내내 수남 레스다 변해서 네 캐버지 네 캐버다 그나가로 드레스를 담바이나 아 야가나를 쳐도 얘는 딱 야가나 빼셔게 추무강가 빼셔게 야가나 추체셔지 인사라 봐
네.
야가나 다 추규주 체셔지 다 대냐냐라 다 체마 쉬어져 체마
네.
체마 지메게 센트데 까레레게 장다냐베 추무 강가레레 여봐야나 가세요 추무 강가 가세요 다 지딩 감들 추에메 추무 강가레서
Kandresa, jikten alle, jikten kazakala chuo ganga chikyap chuna.
말해 추무 강게 잠라 치마 마무 쉬어 치마
네, chemadi.
치마데 깐치 도도치기로 깐치 깐 레레게 장다냐베게 추무 강가 양자 레레 요바이나 가지게로
Rere tranka gyawa ina.
음
Tapirman ko chagira.
나다 알레 치마 레레 장가 잖아 다 잠에식 샤서
네.
치마 디까 레레게 냐 레레라 추무 강가 레레 찌바이나 가지
Ale rere la chuo ganga rere china.
아 다디야니 치마지 잖아 간데 딘나시로 다 전주섬에서 고나 선함 된데겠다 잠에봐 체메봐 지금 다 누스가 패야 계시겨
Nine ang gondarwa ine ang tsikchin yipa de la kare sangi ki shing shegidwa. Di chema ki.
치매 장니기
Changi.
알로가 달 두스가 당무 디상다 전주 쌤 그 선함지 야르바스 다 선함 디 답변에 최송해지 매봐 야레스
네.
어디 때리 충분한 가들 저기 야레스 다 멀리 들었다
And then the other example that's given is that there is no number, no count that we could ever assign to the benefit of bodhicitta because it is extremely vast, it is countless, it's beyond any possibility of count. So even vaster, greater than each individual grain, if you were to count them, of sand in the river bed and the river side of the Ganges River, which of course is the largest river in India. So if you were to count every single piece of grain of sand here in the whole of the river Ganges, then that would not be enough to measure the amount of merit that's generated with cultivating bodhicitta.
다 삼백율에 추에 매게 계시고 섬율은 대바를 계시고
Really.
다 추무 감각이 있고 다 미치기 추무 감각이 제마레레라 냐 추무 감각레레 요 상타 된데게 제메 장다냐인데 상계기 신감 다가나 요 상타 상계기 신감 된데지 여바텔라 미치기 rinpoche 자치셔지다 소는 뒤도
Really.
대바대로 상계 신감에 되게 대바쳐제 rinpoche게 딱 rinpoche게 지 자치셔든데 지금 남게 감 간에다 쳐바표가 레경 된 전죽심 공부도 편식을 했어 하고서
Really. Tandang also chuo rere chaso, chuo ganga rere chisamna di cheme dogdo rere nalo larwa.
아
Laso.
이게 상계기 신것
Di nanglo la sangi kishing samna.
아 신상 근데 제 신감들의 미치기 다 쳐바표가 있나
Rere hakuki.
아 rinpoche기 배고로 제게다 배고나 rinpoche 삐다시 야시 앙담보디 다 제가 쳐바표가 선음 가서 사그래래
Really.
선음 사그래 봐 대래 정죽성 보너스는 치기 다 숨거다.
So now that's one way of looking at or how sometimes this example with the river is given. But here it goes further than that, because so now let's imagine that in each grain of sand in the Ganges, in each grain, let's imagine there's another Ganges river. So let's imagine that in there's another Ganges river with the same size and everything. And within each and every grain of sand in all of these Ganges rivers, so in each grain of sand in all of these Ganges rivers, imagine that there are Buddha fields. So you would end up having an enormous, infinite, countless amount of Buddha fields. So now imagine that someone makes an offering to all of these Buddhas in all of these Buddha fields with the most superior, most precious, most costly, most rare jewels that you could ever find. And imagine how much merit would be generated out of such an offering. That would be incredible. But what the text says, that cultivating bodhicitta generates even more merit, even more benefit than such an offering.
아야, 나도 나 가인서 상계를 쳐봐. 상계의 신강 자매라 다 쳐봐. 배고 약수 답표다시 자매의 쳐봐 표와 될 전죽성 공부의 편식을 다 두두질랑 도스라나. 어디에라나.
Really. So in short, to not make it too complicated, if someone were to offer jewels to all the Buddhas in all the Buddha fields, however many there are, then the benefit of cultivating bodhicitta would still exceed that.
아야, 도스래. 나 전죽성 공부들 편상 미쳐버지 여반데. 어디 계시게 다들라.
So in short, practicing cultivating bodhicitta is a source for an unimaginable benefit, really beyond our imagination.
아주 되도 좋았어.
Really. So time has come to an end.
Thank you, Geshe. I'll just share some prayers to finish with. Just one second. Jan chu sam cho rinpoche ma ke pa nam ke gyu chi ke wa nyam me pa yang go ne gon du pe wa sho to ni da wa rinpoche ma ke pa nam ke gyu chi ke wa nyam pa me pa yang go ne go du pe wa sho dang li la we go we jing kan ben da de wa ma li ju we ne re ze wan che zi ya to yi ja pe si de ba du den gyu chi to so shan jin jang ge ge we ken zi yo ba we ku zu do po zi jo sun good we le ban tu ju a da so de je ge ja te sho.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Geshe.
Merci, Geshe.
Thank you, Yulika.
Thank you.
See you all next week.
Okay, see you next week.
Thank you, Janang.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Simjanang.
아야, 순간한 거.
Sukjenang.